It's Tuesday, December 29th, and this is now on H&N.
Today we will vaccinate more people, I would guess, than we have on any given day before.
As more COVID-19 vaccine arrives, the state prepares to ramp up distribution.
When they asked the suspect to stop, obviously he didn't listen.
Officers fatally shoot a man in Kaneohe after he allegedly drove a car at them.
A growing number of GOP senators are advocating for $2,000 stimulus checks for millions of Americans. I'm Skyler Henry on Capitol Hill, where despite the efforts, the Senate Majority Leader is stymieing the bill.
Plus, King's Hawaiian is being sued for not actually making its sweet rolls in Hawaii. These stories and more coming up on This Is Now. Breaking news, Honolulu Mayor-elect Rick Blangiardi just announced key members of his core leadership team and cabinet, including Michael Formby as managing director, which we previously reported, Danette Maruyama as deputy managing director, and Andrew Kawano as director of budget and fiscal services. There are many more appointments just announced, and we've posted them to our H&N digital platforms.
Ashley and Jonathan here coming to you from the Digital Center. We're going to get to some other news because it's been a violent past 24 hours with two separate shootings that police have been dealing with.
I was just sitting inside, had the windows open, and heard the first shot, which didn't seem very loud. And then I heard the second one, and I realized, and there's a second one, it's gunfire.
Today, police continue their investigation into an apparent drive-by shooting near McKinley High School.
Broad daylight, it was like 4:30ish in the afternoon.
Officials say a woman suffered multiple gunshot wounds. She was last listed in critical condition. Neighbors say when they ran outside, she was already unresponsive.
There's a lady on the ground who was getting help from somebody in the neighborhood. Then it turns out all the cops started coming out, and then someone told me from across the street that she just got shot.
Police arrested a man fitting the suspect's description a short time later, about a mile away from the shooting. The suspect's name has not been released yet. In a separate incident yesterday, HPD officers shot and killed a 45-year-old man in Windward, Oahu. Giolani Martinez has much more on that.
Honolulu Police Chief Susan Ballard says two officers were searching for a 45-year-old male wanted in connection to a kidnapping case. Ballard says two officers in plain clothes identified themselves as police on Ahui Manu Road. Ballard says the suspect ran to his car and refused to get out. The chief says the suspect then accelerated towards police. That's when two officers fired their weapons.
The suspect then accelerated towards the officers at a high rate of speed, leaving skid marks in the parking lot. Fearing for their lives, the officers discharged their firearm. The suspect's car continued forward and crashed into two parked cars, pushing them over the curb and into the grass.
Family identified the suspect as Kaylin Paoakea Gensler. Chief Ballard says Gensler had 48 convictions. 12 of them were felonies that ranged from kidnapping, drugs, and various firearm offenses, 14 misdemeanors, and 22 petty misdemeanors. He was taken to the Queens Medical Center where he was pronounced dead.
He wasn't trying to hurt nobody. He was trying to leave, and he was shot 3 times through the front of the truck. Then ran up on, door open, and shot some more shots fired. So ask me if that's justice or if that's protecting and serving.
HPD has opened an attempted murder case. The two officers involved have 20 and 8 years in service and are assigned to the crime reduction unit. Both are on 3-day administrative leave, which is standard procedure. Giolani Martinez, Hawaii News Now.
A 52-year-old woman was critically injured in a crash on Kalakaua Avenue this morning. It happened at around 6:30 near the intersection of Kalakaua and Fern Street. EMS said a vehicle apparently hit the woman who was riding her bicycle. Kamaili Wilcox, a friend of the victim, ran outside just moments after she heard what happened.
My auntie was riding her bike and she in turn turned on the street, and the car was coming really fast down Kalakaua and hit her, and she went flying. She flew back into the middle of the street, and there was a big pool of blood, and she's in critical condition now.
Honolulu police said a portion of Kalakaua Avenue was shut down between Makaloa and Fern Streets.
New details from Lieutenant Governor Josh Green. He says nursing homes across the state will start receiving vaccinations today. He gave us an update on Sunrise.
We have about 61,000 doses that are here in Hawaii so far. Only about 14,000 people have gotten the first shots. Why does it seem to be taking so long?
It's just a question of how excited people are, honestly. It looks like a delay, but honestly, we only started seeing vaccines arrive from Pfizer 14 days ago and from Moderna 7 days ago. Meanwhile, today will be the first day that our kupuna in nursing homes will start getting those vaccines. It's an incredible logistical lift to get to nursing homes and vaccinate everybody, to organize hundreds and then thousands and then tens of thousands of people to come to these pods. We were able to quickly vaccinate healthcare workers at the hospitals because that's the easiest setting to arrange. But today, for instance, I'll be over Windward vaccinating people with the Department of Health and Eddie Mercero's team. You will see nursing homes across the state vaccinating people. Today, we will vaccinate more people, I would guess, than we have on any given day before. And Tuesdays and Wednesdays are the big vaccination days in our state because we have to get the vaccine on Mondays. So as long as people are patient, they will see, and this is a working document, they will see things like this.
Okay.
And this is a description of 1A, 1B, and so on. As we move through healthcare workers, long-term care facilities, some frontline essential workers, kupuna 75, kupuna 65. We hope to get about 150,000 doses per month of the vaccine. And so that's a way for people to begin to approximate when they'll be vaccinated.
How is that going to be put out to the public? I mean, I know that that's going to be out there so that we can use that as a reference, but the next group of recipients, are they going to be contacted? Are they going to get emails or phone calls? How does that work?
Yes, it's a big and very interesting process. So the first ones, again, were a little bit easier because we can communicate with all of our hospital workers, the workers that are actually in the facilities. We've had quite an interesting operation to reach the independent physicians and people that work in the community that way. Long-term care facility people are there, living there. Next, it will be an incredible outreach through groups like AARP, of course, through the news, through print media, through social media. I would expect that right after New Year's, we will publish a full calendar, which will give our best guesses based on how much vaccine we get from the federal government. And we will also begin to show the locations in the pods. Some of them have not yet been finalized because we have to know how big to go. That's determined by how much vaccine the feds send us. I would love to do very large centers so people just know in their minds, I go to whether it's Aloha Stadium or to the convention center, and it's very simple because people have to go once and then they have to go 3 weeks later if they get the Pfizer vaccine or 4 weeks later if they get the Moderna vaccine.
Yeah, and especially when you're talking about the kupuna, you want to make sure that it's as simple as possible.
Yes.
We have a couple of groups, okay? We always talk about the anti-vaxxers, but there's also a group of regular people that would normally be supportive of this that just want more long-term data, and they're a little skeptical about how quickly this has come out. So for them, and they're not just talking about immediate effects, they're thinking about how this is going to affect their health overall down the road. Why, for them, are you so confident that this is not going to have adverse effects in the long run?
Well, I'm confident for a couple of reasons. One, more manpower, person power, scientific acumen went into the dense 7-month to 8-month process of the research to develop this vaccine than probably any other project in 7 or 8 months in the history of mankind. Two, we have had very good data that there's almost no significant negative side effect profile. Now, the longer term effects do worry people. I decided to get my vaccination as a healthcare worker as a show of trust and faith. I don't tend to see these things as a significant threat, especially for people who are a little older, but we're being more cautious, of course, around young people, where there's still some research to be had and they're in their developmental stages. A lot of people we're seeing a phenomenon are just kind of, they're not anti-vax, but they are pausing and they want to see 2 or 3 months of people get the vaccine. And that's okay. So if you're a healthcare worker or a kupuna, say in the 1A category, and you decide to hit the brakes a little bit and wait 2 or 3 months, it's not like you won't be able to get vaccinated. You will be eligible as soon as you decide.
The Interscholastic League of Honolulu has canceled most of its winter sports seasons due to the pandemic. Wrestling, soccer, canoe paddling, bowling, and basketball have all been canceled. The remaining sports will start January 4th, and all will have new precautions in place, like masks and social distancing. The $500 city grocery cards are set to expire tonight, but there may be some hope for those who couldn't activate the cards. Sammy Salina has more.
The Office of Economic Revitalization said they're working with the mayor to extend the deadline to January 31st. But right now, that deadline is tonight by midnight. And that's already been extended from the original deadline of December 27th. But folks said they're not taking a chance. They're going to be spending that money by today. We did see a number of issues with these cards. First, they were delayed because the city used an East Coast vendor who wasn't able to ship them out in time. And then people couldn't get through to the vendor's call center. Eventually, online options to activate them were added. And as of yesterday, 2,300 of the cards were activated of the 3,700. This program was funded by the city's CARES Act money to help disadvantaged families participating in the Household Hardship Relief Fund. Folks can spend it at grocery and convenience stores on Oahu, with the exception of Target and Walmart. Officials hope they'll be able to allow users more time to use these cards.
I'm a dive instructor, so I've been pretty much unemployed up until a couple weeks ago. I mean, I'm glad that they actually started to get some stuff out to everybody. It does seem a little bit late compared to what they could have been doing.
Like, oh my God, yes, I can go spend this card and get the things I need rather than trying to buy things out of pocket and stretch whatever money we have. So it was a big help.
For more information on activating the card, you can go to oneoahu.org/city-card. Officials say to hold on to the card for future use. Sammy Salina for This Is Now.
Well, we've learned that in November there was only 200,000 visitors to the state. Last year, there was nearly 4 times that. Howard Dykes has those details.
U.S. visitor traffic plummeted, but international traffic dried up almost entirely. 800 visitors from Canada, 500 arrivals total from Japan for the whole month, 300 from all of Europe, 200 from Latin America, under 200 from China, under 100 from Korea, just 65 Australians. That was November, and this month will be similar. The Boeing 737 MAX jet takes to the U.S. skies today for the first revenue service since it was recertified after a nearly 2-year grounding. American Airlines is first to return the MAX to service with today's round trip between Miami and New York JFK. Seattle-based Salt Chuck cited cash flow problems last June when it stopped subsidizing losses of its subsidiary Young Brothers. Now Salt Chuck is selling its Foss Maritime ship refueling division. West Coast rival Centerline is the buyer. Salt Chuck still owns both Young Brothers and also Aloha Air Cargo.
A strong earthquake in central Croatia has destroyed buildings in a town southeast of the capital and caused at least 6 deaths. The magnitude 6.3 quake hit southeast of Zagreb. Initial reports say entire buildings collapsed, and officials say at least 20 people have been hospitalized with injuries.
New today, investigators have revealed some of the suspects' actions as they search for a motive in the Nashville bombing case. Mola Lenghi has the latest.
The FBI is piecing together who the suspected bomber was before the explosion. Prior to the Christmas morning blast that injured 3 people, Anthony Warner deeded his house to someone and gave someone else his car, telling them he had cancer. The FBI is investigating Warner's medical records to see if that's true. David Roush is director of the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation.
Clearly, there had to be some precipitating event that caused the action.
Newly released police body cam footage shows the eerie scene before the bombing as a warning message plays from the RV.
That's so weird. That's like something out of a movie.
Like The Purge?
Yeah.
Moments later, the RV explodes. Then officers begin guiding bystanders away from the scene.
You guys okay?
No, my God.
Where's your car? Okay, go to your car. What's going on?
Authorities are also combing through the 63-year-old's credit card records, which appear to show purchases of security alarms and chemical precursors, material possibly used to make a homemade bomb. Rick Lottie says he lived near Warner for nearly a decade. He spoke with the suspect 4 days before the bombing.
I asked him, "Is Santa going to bring you anything good for Christmas?" And he smiled, and he said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to be famous. Nashville and the world will never forget me."
Lottie, the neighbor, says that it always seemed that Warner was a recluse and never got close to any of his other neighbors. Meanwhile, here in Nashville, officials have been trying to reassure the public that the city is safe, that there are no outstanding threats out there. The FBI says Warner acted alone. Mola Lengi, CBS News, Nashville.
Vice President-elect Kamala Harris received the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine today in Washington. President-elect Joe Biden received his COVID vaccination live on national television last week. Vice President Mike Pence was administered the vaccine at an on-camera event the week before Biden. As for President Trump, a White House official had said he won't be administered the vaccine until it is recommended by his medical team. At the time, the official said Trump was still receiving the benefits of an antibody cocktail he was given after he tested positive for COVID in October. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell blocked Democrats' efforts to increase stimulus checks from $600 to $2,000, and the measure's fate in the GOP-controlled Senate remains unclear. Skylar Henry reports from Washington.
The Senate is back in session one day after the House voted to increase stimulus payments and override the president's veto of the National Defense Bill.
Is there objection to the original?
I object.
Senate Democrats objected to the majority leader's motion to set up a veto override for Wednesday, likely pushing it to later this week.
Soon this important legislation will be passed into law.
One by one, the Democrats took the floor to demand the Senate first vote on the Cash Act, which the House has already passed. It would give $2,000 stimulus checks to millions of Americans.
We should not adjourn until the Senate holds a vote on both measures.
Several Senate Republicans have also voiced support for the increased payments, including Missouri Senator Josh Hawley, who tweeted, "We've got the votes, let's vote today." Meanwhile, President Trump returned to his South Florida golf club Tuesday. On Twitter, he railed against weak and tired Republican leadership on the defense bill, and he repeated his call for $2,000 stimulus checks. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Let's get to the latest coronavirus numbers now. The State Health Department is reporting 76 new infections today. The breakdown shows 7 cases on the Big Island, 10 on Maui, 55 on Oahu, and 4 out of state. No new deaths were reported. Now to the latest on the new Kilauea eruption. Lava is still pumping into Halema'uma'u crater. The growing lava lake is nearly 600 feet deep now. Its surface area is estimated to be around 72 acres. Now, scientists say the rates of sulfur dioxide emissions, seismic tremor, and deformations are holding steady. There's still no evidence of activity outside the summit.
And I wanted to show everyone this. This is the latest image we're getting from USGS. And this is an overnight photo. You can see that lava flow still happening there. But what's really cool about this is that nearly full moon shot there in the background, which really makes for a gorgeous, gorgeous sight. Let's turn it over now to Guy Hoggy with the latest on the conditions outside.
Aloha. On this Tuesday, we're expecting increasing clouds and showers for windward areas later this afternoon. We're not expecting a whole lot, but you can expect a few more splashes, especially from Oahu to the Big Island later this afternoon. This morning, there's not much, just a few minor splashes. And the winds will be getting stronger throughout the day. Right now, they're mostly slow, but as the day progresses, those winds will run up to moderate speeds through tomorrow. Also, not moderate at all, large surf rolling into north and west shores. Otherwise, we're in for a beautiful trade wind weather day. Mostly sunny for most of the day, and then in the afternoon, look for those windward and mauka showers to increase. And the high temperature still running to about 83. Now, as far as the surf, it's going to be big, especially for Kauai and Oahu. As this swell tops out, high surf warnings are posted. Now, there's a high surf advisory for Maui's North Shore, and this is more of a northerly direction, so that's why the Maui County's West Shore and the Big Island's West Shore are not going to get a whole lot. But it's still going to be big and dangerous to a large extent, life-threatening, especially for those inexperienced in large surf. So stay out of the water for the next few days because we got more surf on the way as well. So those trade winds stepping up today to 15 to 20. There will be some afternoon showers, drier but windier from Wednesday into the early part of next week. Keep it here on Hawaii News Now. We'll have all your severe weather updates.
Internet's definitely talking about this next story, and I also heard it on the radio on NPR this morning. They had a big story on it. The Federal Aviation Authority is changing up rules for drones, and this is really important because it sort of paves the way. What everyone's been looking to with drones is delivery services, right?
Right.
So the rules that have changed are now small drones are allowed to fly over people. Sounds a little scary, but they have been forbidden of that up until now. and also at night, all without a waiver. So drones still must have anti-collision lights and other technology. I think the rotors have to be covered in some way as well. Again, this all clears the way for companies such as Amazon, UPS, and other delivery services to start putting those drones to work. These new rules go into effect in about 2 months. I think it's super cool, a little scary, but I'm really interested to see how this all shapes up because there's huge potential there.
Absolutely, but I can absolutely see this being controversial
for sure
with people as well.
Yep. What'd you find? Something fun, right?
Yeah, so Dunkin' Donuts, because we love talking about donuts, there is adding an extra caffeine boost to its lineup in time for the new year. Now the chain launches extra charged coffee tomorrow, which it says has 20% more caffeine than Dunkin's classic hot and iced coffee. For a limited time from Wednesday through January 26th, medium extra charged coffees will be only $2. So the new coffee is served hot or iced and includes green coffee extract, which gives extra caffeination.
That's the green coffee. That's got some kick to it.
That would turn me into a crazy person.
Yeah, some people in the newsroom would appreciate that. So this story is getting a lot of buzz on our H&N digital platforms.
That's right.
Tell us about it.
King's Hawaiian Sweet Rolls, they're not actually made in Hawaii. In fact, the popular bread product is manufactured in California, according to its back label. Now, a New York resident is suing, claiming that he was misled into buying the rolls. As first reported by Top Class Actions, Robert Galinsky says because the packaging features Hilo Hawaii prominently, consumers are led to believe that the bread is from there. We confirmed the story with Galinsky's lawyers. We reached out to King's Hawaiian for comment, but have not heard back yet. Kona Brewing and Hawaiian Host, if you remembered, have similar lawsuits for similar reasons.
Find the story on our Facebook feed and sound off. Tell us what you think. Let's get to some good news. We're talking about the legendary band Kiss, and they're having a special New Year's Eve concert. Rick DeMiglia from CNN, hard name to say, has the story.
The self-proclaimed hottest band in the world is looking to end 2020 with a bang. Kiss are performing an outdoor concert on a custom-built stage at the Atlantis, Dubai.
What better time than New Year's Eve to stay at home, stay safe, don't be stupid, and go out there and make stupid mistakes by drinking with strangers.
Social distancing measures will be in place, but the main audience will be watching at home.
People are safely distant. There are going to be masks. You won't know who you're flirting with because their faces will be covered. You see what I did there? That's like a dad joke. We intend on having a great time and celebrating the next year coming in. It's going to be a better year for everybody. The vaccine is starting to go out. It's going to be better for everybody. Stay indoors, stay safe, party with us. We'll have the biggest party on earth anyway. You may as well enjoy it safely.
Come on, people! Clap your hands, let's go! The outdoor performance has the band aiming for world record levels of pyrotechnics.
We intend on literally lighting up the sky and setting off pyro even before the first chord.
Rocking out in Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
Looks pretty fun. Looks pretty fun
those
there.
heels get me all the time.
You know, the first song I heard when I got my driver's license, was I Want to Rock and Roll All Night and Party Every Day. Good song. You guys, that's going to do it for This Is Now. We'll be back at 4, first at 4 on KHNL.